Welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Lori.
Today we're talking about Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So
Yes,
I
Miss
started
Gypsy Rose.
watching. Yes, I started watching on Lifetime by accident, Life After Lockup with Gypsy Rose. And I thought, gee, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I need to find out what the backstory is on this. So then I found the Mommy Deadly Deer, or whatever it was called. There was a backstory.
And that was on Max, right? HBO Max?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so those are the two things I watched. I watched the Max one first, which was good because I knew nothing about this. I'm sure I heard about it when it happened, but it scares me, so I wouldn't have paid attention to it. And then I watched the Life After Lockup on Lifetime.
And then I found there's one in between there, and it's confessionals while she's in prison. And they interviewed her, and they talked to her for 18 months while she was in prison.
That one I watched.
Did you watch that, Laura?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay,
And
that's the one. Is that the only one you watched?
No, I also watched a bunch of stuff on YouTube, and I watched some of the when she gets out.
There's a lot on YouTube.
Yeah, a little bit of Life After Lockup.
Out of jail? Yeah.
Whatever.
So I have a timeline here so we can kind of go off of that. So she was born on July 27th, 1991, Gypsy Rose.
She's got Eric's birthday.
That's weird.
What year?
1991.
Okay.
So she's 32 years old now.
Yeah.
So Gypsy's parents are Rod and Dee Dee, and they first met when he was in high school. Rod was in high school. Dee Dee got pregnant, and so they got married. But this is very interesting. Rod was 17 at the time, and Dee Dee was 24.
It seemed like there was a big age difference, but I didn't realize it was that big.
Yep. They eventually separated shortly before Gypsy was born in July. So they got married for a short time. He realized that, he wasn't in love with her. He just got married to her because that's what you're supposed to do. But he was a kid. And technically, I'll be honest with you, that's statutory rape. Like, she was 24.
For sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So, this poor girl's life did not even start off well.
No.
So then when Gypsy was 3 months old, her mom believed that she had sleep apnea, and she began taking her to the hospital. 3 months old. Like, her entire life, she was doing this to her.
Yeah.
The doctors did several tests. They didn't find anything wrong. But I don't know. Somehow she got her the sleep apnea machine. And, for a very long time, she was the victim of Munchausen's by proxy.
Yeah.
Claiming that she had leukemia, muscular dystrophy, all these crazy things.
And doctors, I guess the mother was very persuasive because doctors started treating her, which is crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it did come out.
It is crazy.
You can't say that she has.
It did come out that she has some kind of chromosomal problem, which did relate to several surgeries that per her medical records, from what I have read, that she did have to have some procedures done. The Munchausen, whatever you would say it, by proxy is
Munchausen by proxy.
More towards, people say, like more towards the 60-40 range, because 40% of it, she did have a chromosomal disease that did lead to her needing some surgeries. Because I kept thinking to myself, in what world does this exist that she can just have her kid get all these surgeries when they weren't medically, you that doesn't happen consecutively for years. It just, no doctor's going to do that. You'll get sued. No.
Right.
So it turns out supposedly that she did have to have several of these surgeries, and that a lot of people think she's a lot more complicit in it.
That could just be a doctor trying to cover their ass, though.
Well, she did have an
She
eye
does have the
issue. I do know that
chromosomal
the eye
disease.
surgeries that she had.
Yeah, I'm not saying she didn't have any surgeries that weren't.
I think the
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I'm just saying that a doctor could just say this now because that's unbelievable that she had all of these unwarranted surgeries.
Well, the biggest problem was really that the mother got her that feeding tube. And that's really where, that feeding tube what led her to be able to drug her or stop feeding her or making her appear to be failure to thrive and,
Yeah.
giving her whatever medicine she wanted through that feeding tube. And that's really the way her mother controlled her
Yeah.
is through that. And, isolating her and not allowing her father to know the truth about her and
Right.
telling the father that, she had all these things wrong with her. And then telling Gypsy when she was a little bit older that your father looks at you weird and he's embarrassed of you and doesn't know how to
Yeah.
take care of you.
Yeah, like I know that man has some guilt, but I don't think that woman would have made anything easy on him if he tried to be more of a part of her life.
No.
Oh no, it would have been very
No,
difficult.
he
She would
definitely,
have fought him
there's
tooth and
nothing that
nail.
he could have done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And did you see
sure.
from the
For
crime
sure.
scene photos, there was an actual medicine cabinet that they found that was like out of control. Like a lot of medication in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the house was, she was clearly a hoarder, that woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the wheelchairs throughout the house. I mean, she definitely, she definitely had issues and she was definitely manipulating the system. And, people say a lot of people still have a lot of hate for Gypsy Rose because they think that she got away with murder. They think that she manipulated Nicholas Gojon, the guy who actually killed her mother, into doing it because he was autistic and he had his own mental health issues. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. I mean, I do think there was some sort of manipulation because that's all she knew. That's how she grew up. Her mother was manipulating the system. So that's how she knew how to get things done. But,
Yes.
he did it,
but that
and he
doesn't
had a criminal
negate.
mind. He had already talked to.
Go ahead, Wendy. Sorry.
That doesn't negate what?
That, I don't know. I just don't think that I think she's a lot more complacent in the actual planning and execution of her mother's murder than she wants to admit. I don't think that it's necessarily her fault, but I think she definitely got to a point where she knew, my mom's not going to let me be with guys. She knew the kind of scam her mom was running, it's just this thing where and it's all her mother's fault. I'm not saying it's her fault, but it's this thing where she's, 23 years old.
No, it's all her mother's fault. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh, absolutely. But what I'm saying is I just think that she's a little more complacent than she wants to admit. You make a
Her part in
video.
it, like her.
Well, look, she makes a video of doing stabbing motions, telling him how to kill her mom. She's 23 and
She did?
one day she can
Yes.
be at Disney World in a princess costume eating mashed potatoes like has all kinds of physical ailments and mental deficiencies, but then the next day she's online posting pictures of herself as Ruby in kind of like a little bit of an S&M outfit.
Yeah.
So and the video that was made after her mother was killed and they were in that hotel room. To me, that's
Right.
I'm just saying she has a lot more problems than I think that it has been presented as. Like, I don't think she should have gone out without mandatory
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
intense therapy, not being able to make
Hopefully she
money
got. I
off
was
of
just
the
thinking
social
that. I agree
media.
with you.
You what?
That's
So-
a problem.
Well, let me just tell you this. This is what happened.
What
so
you just said, that's a problem.
making money
This
off
will-
social media. So
yeah.
this is what happened. So she was in jail and she asked for therapy and they denied her therapy. And the reason I know this is because when she got out of jail, she said that she wanted to work on prison reform and she put that out there. And she mentioned Kim Kardashian's name. So Kim Kardashian flew out to meet with Gypsy Rose and she sat there in front of her. And Gypsy said to her, I give you a lot of credit for even talking to me because people don't want to touch me with a 10-foot pole. She goes, but I really do want to help make the system better. I know what I did was wrong. I know I need therapy. I asked for therapy when I was in jail and they said that they didn't think I needed therapy, individual therapy. Now,
That sounds
how
crazy to me.
That
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 sounds
sounds
crazy to me that they would
absolutely
deny
insane.
her therapy. She,
And
yeah,
this is
it
also
is
orchestrated
insane.
the murder of her mother.
But that's
well,
part of the problem. I mean, that's part of the problem. She did it. You know what? She did plead guilty. She took responsibility and accountability.
Yeah,
She went to jail. She
yeah.
did her time and she got out on parole. That's what happened. So, you know, what she did, she took ownership for it. That's all she could
I
do.
think 10 years. Was she like accessory of murder? Like, what was her
I don't know
charge? Do we
what her
know? Like,
actual
I think
charge
10
was.
years is like, what did that Robert Marshall go away
I'll
for
tell you what she
hiring
took.
somebody?
Here it is. So she killed her mother on July 9th, 2015. Excuse me, June 9th, 2015. On June 14th, 2015, Gypsy wrote on Dee Dee's Facebook page, "That bitch is dead," which immediately sparked concern from Dee Dee's friends. That's when they
That's
found,
Oh,
that's
yes.
when they
There's
found
things
that
like
she
that.
was dead. June 15th, Gypsy and Nicholas were taken into custody. And in July of 2016, Gypsy pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So she pled guilty to second-degree murder, not first-degree. Nicholas Gogin went to trial November of 2018, and Gypsy testified that she came up with the plan to kill her mother because it was the only way that she could escape her life of abuse. Gogin was found guilty of first-degree murder in the death. So he went to trial. She took a plea.
I bet you he had a plea deal on the table that he should have
He
taken
should have
instead of going
taken,
to
right.
trial.
So
Probably.
she had
Yep.
a plea deal that she took.
Yep.
She had a public defender. It's not like, you know, she had
Nobody
this,
was
you know,
paying for some top tier
right,
lawyer.
right. And she testified in his trial that it was her plan. So it's not like she didn't take accountability for it.
Yeah,
you know?
no, for sure. She was smart and took a plea deal, and that poor kid probably didn't and got life in prison. That's it. He's gonna
Without-
die
and
in
then there's-
prison
Without the
parole.
possibility.
Right. And then, you know, there's the thing where there are, I believe, 17 stab wounds on her mother. Nick, who has not told one lie about his whole whatever he had to do with it. He said he stabbed her 4 times. And then she says afterwards that he raped her. He says they had sex, but all the stuffed animals were put back exactly where they were. Like, who gets raped and then puts all their stuffed animals back? It's just,
I'm
there's
not
just
gonna
so
lie.
many things that,
When she said-
unfortunately,
'cause
I
she
feel
said-
like she's, sorry.
No, I just feel like when she said, "I told him I would let him rape me." That's what she said. I told him if he did this, I would let him rape me. Who that
know.
doesn't that's a what am I trying to say? But I don't want to be offensive to anyone who's dealt with any kind of sexual assault. You don't let somebody rape you.
No,
It's not
he
even a
wanted
thing. That's not
he
even
wanted
a thing.
he wanted to rape her mother. And she said, "No, you can't rape my mother."
You can rape me.
Because
Right?
yes, but it's not like she just said that. It was like, I'm gonna do this so that you don't rape my mother. I
But
don't
then
know.
the next
I mean,
day,
listen, the
you're
whole
in a
thing is
hotel
screwed up.
room. How do you do that? And then the next day, you're in a hotel room giggling, talking about how you're gonna have oral sex with him. He's gonna make it happen for you.
Right.
Like, what? Deeply flawed and troubled.
I mean, there's definitely mental health issues.
Deeply flawed.
Yes. So the fact that she was denied therapy in jail is questionable
I don't. Yeah, highly questionable.
Oh, but you can prove that.
and horrific.
You can
Yeah.
prove, like, that's not, I mean, you can lie about it all you want, but it's certainly something that, you know, can be proved or disproved.
Yeah,
Right.
I would imagine.
And that's one of the things she wants to fight for as far as prison reform goes. And then further on in the season of the Kardashians, we see Kim go to these prisons where there are certain prisons where they are trying to rehabilitate them and they
Yeah.
are getting them an education and they are, working on their mental health, which is what needs to happen. Yeah, there are
Yeah.
some people that can't be rehabilitated, but there are people that can.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean,
But I mean, this is the thing,
so
though,
a little bit more of the timeline.
is that
Go
you know
ahead.
maybe people would have a much better opinion about her if We heard about some of that. Oh, here is her drama with this guy leaving that guy pregnant, not pregnant. Blah, 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 blah. I haven't heard anything, one thing from her about prison
Yeah.
reform besides the one thing with Kim Kardashian. Other than that, it's like she's too busy trying to be a reality star.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I mean-
Speaking of which, I looked up her net worth. Her net worth is $3 million since she's been out of jail. She's not even been out of jail a year.
And she said she just wanted to come out of jail and be a normal person and get a normal job. That's what
No,
she said.
She did
I
not,
think
and
the
she never
minute,
had.
I know we're going to get there. I think
Yeah.
the minute she got on social media, it was over. It
Well,
was
really,
over.
quite frankly-
and her father said it.
There's like a weird delay.
No, go ahead.
Her father,
Yeah.
She's actually hired a PR company. She's spending all this money on a PR company.
Yeah.
It's just
who
if
does
you
that?
really wanted to come out and live a nice, quiet life, then why are you?
Which you probably should have since you're on parole. I think your reality TV star dream could have waited 1 year when you were off parole. But her father said it. She's 30 years old and she's making decisions like a 17 and 18-year-old would.
Right.
But I mean, you go to prison for 10 years, that stunts your mental growth, obviously.
Absolutely.
And she never lived in the real world.
Right.
She never
She's
lived in
always
the
been
real world.
prison in one way or another.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get a little bit back to the timeline. One of the ways her mother was able to do this, in 2005, Hurricane Katrina came and they were down in Louisiana and they lost everything. So they went to this rescue shelter and her mom claimed that all their medical records and her birth certificate was lost and destroyed during the hurricane. So that's one of the ways, because one of the things that Dee Dee did was she lied about her age. She had different date of births for her, different years, making her seem younger and younger so she could continue to control her.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
So crazy.
And then in 2008, she relocated to Springfield, Missouri, which at that point, I mean, her father's still in Louisiana. Now she's in Springfield, Missouri, and she's become this like poster child for like the disabled. Like that's where they get the house, the Habitat for Humanity. They build her the house, they build her the ramp. She's practically getting the key to the city,
Yeah.
And meanwhile, her mother is exploiting her. And she's taking her to these doctors. She's holding her hand over her ears so she can't even hear what, the mom is saying to the doctor. She's playing the game of sitting in the wheelchair and
knowing full well she could walk.
Right. But knowing if she disobeyed her mom, she was going to be abused. I mean,
chained to the bed for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And then I told you that the
Although I'm
timeline
not
is.
going to lie, I thought about it with Joe.
No, you haven't.
I have. I'm only kidding. Sorry, too soon.
Yeah. So she goes to jail, right? So then she announced in April of 2019 that she was engaged to Ken, this guy Ken. And then they broke up and then they got back together and then he broke up with her again.
Okay, so I saw the HBO Max thing that tells what happened with her mother, how she was raised and how she and this guy Nick orchestrated the death. Then I watched Life After Lockup. So then I fast forward to when she comes out of jail and she's with Ryan. I missed the Ken piece, except until the end of Life After Lockup, where she does what we all knew she was going to do. But why did he say did they say why he was breaking up with her when he broke up with her?
So during the special where it was the confessional when she was in jail talking to them, she didn't know at the time why he was breaking up with her. She thought it was because he didn't like the spotlight because she was, Gypsy Rose Blanchard and people were talking about her. But let's just make this known. The same way she met Ken is the same way that she met Ryan, is they saw her special and they wrote to her and she responded to them. So he knew what he was getting into. It's not like he didn't know. But also what was revealed during that special that you didn't watch, the confessionals, is there was a time where her mother wound up in the hospital. Her mother got really sick. I cannot remember what that was about. And she went to live with her grandfather and her step grandmother, Well, at this point, she tells us that he was sexually assaulting her when she was 7 or 8 years old.
The grandfather who's in the Max special speaking.
Yes.
Yes.
What a piece of shit.
Yes.
And turns out that he
and the
probably
producers
did the same
ask
thing
him.
to Dee Dee.
Right. Right.
What a piece of shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And during the confessional story, the producers ask him, they say that Gypsy has alleged that you molested her. And he says, no, that's not true. She wanted me to touch her, and I told her that's not right. Yeah.
Yeah, he said it was her.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
She was trying to touch him.
Yep. He blamed an 8-year-old. Right. He blamed an
Oh
8-year-old.
my gosh. That's
Yes.
disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then,
So
Wendy, wasn't there a
the
thing
trauma
where, like,
that this girl has.
wasn't there a thing where Dee Dee also poisoned her stepmother?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So yes,
Oh, I remember that. I was in the Max thing.
Max. Yes, that's what the stepmother said. That Dee Dee
Yeah, because
poisoned.
that bitch probably knew what he was doing.
Yeah, because honestly, he did it to her. He did it to her.
Right.
And then the brother, Dee Dee's brother, they interviewed him for the confessional, and he said, "No, I don't think that happened. I don't think that happened, but I'm sure it happened. I mean, I'm sure it happened.
I'm sure
This-
it did too.
Listen, she never had a shot in life. She just didn't, And it's sad that her mother's dead, and I think she does regret it. But at this point, there's nothing she can do except for move forward. And, maybe what needs to happen is, kind of like we were talking about the housewives the other day. Like, we are part of the problem because we are watching these shows.
Right.
We are part of the problem. Elashes called us out, and she was right.
Yeah, we are part of the problem.
But we're reporting on it because
But
because
I
it's
find it
popular with other
interesting.
people.
Yes. Yeah, no, I
quite
know.
Honestly, I had no idea. Like, I didn't know any of this. None of it.
No, I didn't either. I did not either.
Like I said, I probably knew about it when it was happening, but this stuff scares me.
But
So
she
then
has
more
had
about the timelines. Go ahead.
she has had an obsession with social media since she first got on it. So I think that's always been her escape,
Yes.
and maybe that's why she went right to it when she got out.
I agree. I think, but I think she kind of admit that, like when she
Oh,
got
yeah.
out, like I posted a video, and all of a sudden I had like 3,000 likes and all these followers, and listen, we all know social media can be addicting. We
Right.
all know it. We're Gen X. We had none of this.
Right.
We can be responsible with it because we're adults and we have jobs and we have kids and we're running households, but our kids are addicted to social media. Let's face it. They don't know any different, and neither does she, because she was in jail for 10 years.
This
Right.
is true.
And prior
This
to
is
that,
true.
she was in jail with her mother.
With her
Yeah,
mother.
she didn't. I'm sure she didn't have. I mean, she had a computer, but yeah.
Until her mother smashed it. So then in August of 2022, she marries Ryan in jail. And December 28th, 2023, she has her early release from prison after serving it was actually 8.5 years.
Yeah, I was going to say because she would just be getting out now.
Yes. So April of 2024, roughly 3 months after Gypsy was released from prison, and she has officially filed for divorce from Ryan. So 3 months out of jail, living with Ryan, and she files for divorce. And we see in the end of the special that she's back with Ken. And July of 2024, she announces that she's about to become her mother herself with Ken Urker. And the name of the show was Mommy, Dead, and Dearest, that he saw her in, which is the same place that Ryan saw her and learned about her.
So I told you what I watched. So then I saw some other special that was like episodes, but the earlier episodes were about when she was younger and her mom, and then about her killing her mom. So I skipped over that stuff. I went to the end, and I saw an episode where basically before she was marrying Ryan, her father and her stepmother, who I don't like, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But her father and her stepmother were asking her not to get married. They did not want her to get married. Rightfully so. I totally agree with that. She reached out to Ken
Yeah.
before she got married and was like,
Yes.
do you not want me to get married? And he said, I don't think you should marry him. But he didn't say to her, I don't think you should marry him because I want to be with you. So, and Ryan knew all of that.
Yes, he did.
So clearly they should not have gotten married. She's basically talking to her ex-fiance and asking him if she should marry you. You don't want to marry somebody like that.
Right.
So because I felt really bad for Ryan during the Life After Lockup.
Yeah.
I
Down.
did. I felt bad for him. I thought this poor guy. But after watching that one episode of that other special, I was like, all right, he knew full well she was 100% still in love with this Ken guy. But I did feel bad for Ryan, though, like that one episode of The Life After Lockup where she's with her sister. And she does say on national television that he basically, could have impregnated her. And she kind of gives more information than that, like TMI. And he is a school teacher. And he gets upset with her, and rightfully so. But then I was thinking what her father said, like she's 30, but she has the mindset of a 17-year-old.
And she does have this thing
Yes,
with
she
the-
does.
She
Yeah.
does.
Well, obviously, she's got mommy issues. Some people have daddy issues. She's got mommy issues. So she's going to prove to be the best mommy she can. But that baby could be Ryan's. Let's face it.
She says absolutely not. And what I also just saw recently, so in the state of Louisiana, where they are, if you are married and because she's still legally married, she's not divorced. She filed for divorce, but she's not divorced. The birth certificate has to have Anderson as the last name. Unless Ryan says, and by the way, there will be a paternity test also.
There should be. There should
Yes,
be.
there
'Cause
absolutely
I
should be.
swear I think this kid's Ryan's.
If
Wouldn't that be
Ryan
some
says, that, the baby doesn't have to have his last name, then she can give it Ken's last name. But I've never heard of a law like that.
Me neither.
I mean, I think that's kind of crazy.
Wait, because that's her last name?
Anderson is Ryan's last name.
But it's
also her last name.
It's her last name right now because the divorce isn't final.
Right.
So that must be why.
I don't think that's why, because I mean, I know, other pregnant women, they just go with their maiden name for the child. They don't even give it the,
Even though they're married and have a married last name?
That's a good point. Maybe they aren't
That's
married.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, baby's name has to be Anderson because that's her legal name. But if they do a paternity test and it winds up being Ken's baby, then they should be able to give it Ken's last name.
I would think so. I don't know. It's messy. It's just very messy.
It's very messy.
It's just totally messy.
It is messy.
It's going from guy to guy to guy.
Why don't you like Christy?
Because she obviously reached out to Ken.
Well, she said she reached out to Ken.
Yeah. So what are you doing? She's married.
Well, actually, no. Ken reached out to her.
That's what she says. Well, maybe. Listen, maybe. But she's married. Stay the fuck out of it. And she talks over everybody and she doesn't give anybody a chance to talk. And even her husband and her daughter on 2 separate occasions were like, you have to let me talk. You have to let me talk.
And there's talk.
She was very annoying, that woman.
Yeah. There's talk that she was,
Go ahead.
She was talking to a blogger while, Gypsy Rose was still in jail. Like, this whole Lifetime thing, this is all set up way before she got out of jail. And, her father is definitely a pushover and has a lot of guilt issues. But I think that the stepmother comes off like she's nice, but I think that she had a lot to do with the orchestration of Gypsy Rose's career after cashing in.
I totally agree with you. I think her
And
father
she has
has her best interests at heart. I think her sister has her best interests at heart.
I agree.
Yeah.
That stepmother, I didn't know that about her talking to bloggers behind the scenes, but I totally believe it.
And in 2019, they had a fight, her and Christy, because Christy was talking to a blogger and, they cut ties for a while. Gypsy Rose cut ties for a while with Christy.
Well,
so
when Ken broke up with Gypsy Rose, how the hell would anybody know? if the stepmother wasn't talking to somebody, or if Ken wasn't talking to somebody. Gypsy wasn't talking to anybody. She was in jail.
But she was talking
Oh, yeah,
in
she
jail
was.
to these reporters.
Yeah.
The
She
Lifetime
was?
people. Yes, they show it. They
yeah.
show you her on the phone. They show them her sitting in jail, them doing an interview with her in
Oh,
jail.
you're right. You're right. I did see that.
Yeah, no, they were talking to her. They were.
And I think that, this is something that Gypsy Rose is very used to. She went along with her mother's con. Now, if Christy is kind of the same way and controlling, maybe she's just going along with the
Which
fraud with
clearly
Christy.
she is.
Maybe they really don't get along. That's what's been put out there, that they really don't get along like how they're showing. That,
Right.
so
I mean,
I don't
listen,
know.
I'm happy that she stepped into that role for Gypsy because clearly she didn't have a normal mother.
Right.
But I do see some relation there. I just don't like that she contacted Ken or was in contact with Ken, however it played out, while Gypsy was married to Ryan. Like, let her, like the father said, like, I didn't agree with it. I didn't think it was the right thing for them, but I'm not going to tell her not to do it. Who the hell am I?
Right.
So let them get married and work it out, see what happens. That stepmother, I mean, we saw it on the camera. She said, Ken contacted me. That's all Gypsy had to hear. As soon as she said, he likes blondes, I'm a brunette. And then all of a sudden we see her at the salon getting highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the writing was on the wall.
But listen, these men are not innocent in this either. They knew what they were
No.
getting into.
They did.
Ryan
And
is a special ed teacher. He's a special
come on.
ed teacher.
Yeah.
He of all people should know the trauma that Gypsy has been through in her life.
Yeah.
Well,
And he
keep in-
knew that she was contacting her ex before they got married. Like, that's a red flag, bro. Don't do it. Don't marry her because it's not going to end well for you.
He wasn't sure on the day of his wedding whether or not she was going to show up. And it was at the jail. He's like, I don't know if she's going to, be
Yeah.
there. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously she's going to be there. He was questioning it.
but, keep
Yeah.
in mind, too,
He knew what he was getting himself into.
it's also a paycheck for him. I mean, I'm sure that he agreed to get married to her. I'm sure contracts were signed, for her book, for her Lifetime shit. So, I don't think anybody's as, innocent as this whole narrative that's been put out there. I think it's a lot more involved than how it's been presented to everyone.
I agree with you.
Through the specials and blah, blah, blah.
And I think he proved it when the parole officer told her to shut down her social media, and he was like, that's income.
Right. He did. 100%.
He did. You proved it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw instances where I thought
Or even
that
when
he
she
was
got out of
very
jail.
controlling.
Yes. Yeah, even when she got out of jail and she wanted to go to the Chiefs game because of Taylor Swift. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Really?
Well, somebody said it, like, I think it was her father, and he was like, her mother always got her these opportunities to meet people and get special treatment. And, it could be that that's what she's looking for. Like, she wants to meet Taylor Swift, and she's Gypsy Rose, and she just got let out of jail. And chances are Taylor Swift is going to do her a solid and meet her.
Yeah, or looked like
But
a
thank
dick
God
for
they
not.
put the kibosh on that. And, I felt bad for her that first day she got out of jail and she was at her dad. Whose house were they at? Because then
it was an Airbnb because she was still in the state of Missouri and nobody
Okay.
lived in Missouri.
because I thought that was her dad's house, but then
No.
then we were all of a sudden we were in cutoff Louisiana. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I lost my train of thought. Jesus, Lord Almighty.
Did you
Every
say?
fucking time it happens. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Well, I will tell you
Alright,
that
well,
I read that.
That's
carry
all
on.
right.
I read that. This is horrible, but the mother's head was like almost severed off. Like it just feels like it's been like packaged in this pretty bow. And I think that's the problem that I have. And I have a problem with her kind of being seen as like this girl boss, like this success story after killing her mom. It's just cringy. There's just a cringe factor to it for me.
Yeah.
It looked pretty brutal. The scene looked pretty brutal. Tesla happened to be in the room with me when I was watching that part. She was like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Yeah, this isn't."
Yeah,
This is not.
it did look brutal. She did say though that he had told her about his fantasies to kill other people, and other situations that were very brutal.
I didn't hear
Oh,
that
this
part.
Nick?
I mean, I
Oh,
don't doubt
yeah.
for a second that it's
Yes.
Nick. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably a good thing that that kid, unfortunately, is in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he can do that, then he can, obviously do this. I just remember what I was going to say. I felt so bad for her that day that they were at that Airbnb and they were telling her, no, you got to go here. No, you can stay here. No. And she was so scared that they were going to send her back to prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now here she is on parole. She's still on parole and they're telling her to get off social media. She's not getting off social media. Like I saw this YouTube thing where she's not supposed to stay at Ken's house. She's staying at Ken's house. So now she's like, I think she's like feeling herself a little bit where she's kind of pushing it. So things have changed since that first day. Cause I felt so bad for her. I'm like, this poor girl, like she's so scared to go back to prison.
Well, Ken lives in Texas, so I guess he moved.
I think so.
Yeah.
But she's still not she's still living with her dad and stepmom.
Well, because she has to have a registered address if she's on probation. And because that was one of the things she was saying why she wanted to marry Ryan is because she has to register an address when she gets out, and she wanted it to be where,
With him.
She didn't want it to be with her dad. Which, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah. I
And now
must
she's
say, I was
pregnant.
not a Ryan fan.
And she's due January.
No?
No, I
No,
wasn't
not a
either.
Ryan.
I think he's creepy. I
Yeah.
think everything about him is creepy. I think he's creepy.
He was like pawing all at her and shit.
He gives me Predator vibes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I don't like him.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the whole baby, all baby. No.
yeah. Ew. No, stop.
Yeah. No, I don't like it.
Right.
So
I think the
saw a
only
thing with him
good that
today.
can come
I
out
think
of
it
this
was
is I
live.
do know that
I saw this thing with a live.
it was
with him.
live.
Yeah, it was alive. And he was saying how, he was flat out saying that Gypsy Rose cheated on him while they were married. I'm thinking,
Oh, for sure.
with
She
this
definitely did.
Ryan. So I don't know. It's just so messy. I wish she would have just gotten out and
She
just,
Because they
definitely
are
cheated
still
on him with
married.
Ken.
yeah. But I don't know. It's just weird. Like he's doing lives. It's just weird.
Right. Why is he doing it?
Well,
Right.
he wants his 15 minutes too.
Yeah.
And his paycheck.
Yeah. And
She,
honestly, I think that's what this guy Ken's in it for.
she did say that when her child is born, she doesn't want the child in the media. She doesn't want the child on social media. That
We'll
she's
see.
she's going to shield the child from that. So hopefully, maybe that will get her off social media too.
Well, can I just say this?
I don't
I
know.
think she should just go live her life now.
She's paying a company, PR firm, $7,500 a month, and online has been put what this PR recommendations are for her, and every single thing on there is talk about the baby, make posts about baby names, post this, post that, don't do so many lives, don't
And
talk
she
about
is.
the
She's doing it.
boyfriends, blah 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 blah. But she's paying a PR firm. Come on, that's
And that's
Yeah.
what she's doing. Because I saw a YouTube of her talking about how she's going to have 2 nurseries, one at Ken's house and one at her house, because she can only be at Ken's house this many days a week and blah, 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 blah. So she's already doing it. She's going to put
And-
that baby on social media.
and
And you know
her
what?
attorney.
She's going to blow through her money.
Her attorney is now her manager. She's paying him $5,000 a month.
Wait, her attorney,
$12,000 a month.
her public defender, the public defender is now
Her
her
attorney.
manager.
Her attorney that she had when she got out of jail, that was on that special, is supposedly now
When she
now
pled
her
guilty.
manager.
Yeah, that was her public defender.
Yeah, now her manager.
Oh, come on. How does that
Yep.
happen?
Because he wants his 15 minutes too.
She wanted to get pregnant
None
so
of
she could
these
have
people
another
have her
season.
best interests at heart. I believe that. Listen, I feel bad for her. She got handed a raw deal, man. She got a bad hand.
I feel
But-
bad for her baby now.
That's what I mean. I don't think obviously she's not going to do what her mother did, but
How do you know?
she could do other
How do you know?
damage
It's a
in
perfect
another
setup.
way.
It's what she knows.
Yeah.
That's
It
a
is
very
what she
difficult
knows.
situation
It
to
is
do.
what she knows.
Like,
It's all she knows.
that's what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So what's our
And-
takeaway?
Oh, our
Gypsy
takeaway.
Rose needs to get off of social media and go live her life.
Yeah. But I don't see it happening.
What is it, Laura?
I just see it. I don't see that happening. I see this as like just a potential train wreck. Like that's all I can see for it. And that's horrible to say. I wish her well. I wish her all the best. But for me, there's just the red flags are just flying, fluttering in the wind. And it's just,
Flying.
to me, it's just an absolute train wreck.
Flowing in the wind.
So there's my takeaway.
Agreed.
Train wreck.
I agree too. So I guess let us know like what other topics you guys want us to talk about besides, Kelly and I do our housewives, but we like to do something that's non-housewives. So let us know what you guys want to hear about, like what interests you. We came up with Gypsy Rose Blanchard, but
That's just because Wendy fell down that rabbit hole.
I did. But I want to know what you guys want to let us know. Put it in the comments, send us a DM. We do respond to all of our DMs, so let us know.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you could share us and subscribe to our podcast and YouTube, that'd be great. Until next time, thank you for watching and listening to We Wine Whenever.
Bye.
Bye.